I really enjoy, actually, this filter.
What'd you say? You all looking at me right now? All of y'all?
So apparently the going rate for my work is $5 a minute. So if anybody wants me to say anything that I agree with, $5 a minute. You thought you could keep this shit from me? Yeah, you burnt bitch. I heard the story. You played me. You even gave them head. Now you're asking for me back. You're just another hack. Look elsewhere, 'cause you're done with me. Fuck what I said. Don't mean shit now. Fuck the presents. Might as well throw them out. Fuck all those kisses. They didn't mean jack. Fuck you, you hoe. I don't want you back. On 12 Germinal, April 1st, the session of the convention was interrupted by a crowd which invaded the chamber with cries of bread, bread, and created a prolonged uproar. Van Heck at the head of the Happy April Fool's Day. This holiday doesn't bother me. In fact, there are no countries that officially recognize this as even being a holiday. While some pranks can be pretty mean, if it's all lighthearted and playful, I don't see anything that's wrong with it. So, April 1st, 2004, Google announced Gmail to the public, right? That's great. Gmail is now available to the public, and they launched it with 1 gigabyte inboxes. But when the other webmail services only offered 4 megabytes or less, most people thought it was a joke. 1 gigabyte's worth of inboxes in 2004, so you got to be, careful with that. April Fool's Day, the first mention of April 1st and foolishness comes from Chaucer's The Kansas City section imposed silence and demanded the application of the Constitution of 1793. Measures to deal with the shortage of food and the release of the imprisoned patriots. The demonstration finally allowed themselves to be persuaded by the Montagnards themselves to march past the bar and evacuate the chamber. In point of fact, it's impossible to talk of an insurrection organized by the sections. 2 of them, indeed, in respectful address, expressed themselves to the same effect as the Thermidorians. It is therefore obvious that the movement had no leaders worthy of the name, and that the agitators launching forth in the speeches had been unable to reconstruct the bands which in the past had ensured the success of the journeys. Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales in 1392 contains the first recorded association between April 1st and foolishness, but nobody knows really where it came from. It's not a public holiday in any country, and, be careful with some people. There's a lot of psychopaths out there that love schadenfreude. They love to, take pleasure out of your pain. So, if your hoaxes are lighthearted, that's good. But if they're creepy, manipulative, rude, nasty, deceitful, don't do them. I mean, you got that one guy, Rowan, whatever. He goes around doing pranks and shit. That's his, livelihood. So, I don't know. Be careful out there. It's all in good fun until it's not. Right? I have no idea what I'm talking. Do I have any clue what the fucking... The demonstrators were unarmed. They had repulsed the Genocidori easily but when the National Guards of the Western sections, led by Merlin de Thionville, appeared, they withdrew without offering any resistance. So there's an uprising. In 1957, on April 1st, the BBC reported that Swiss farmers were experiencing a record spaghetti crop, and they showed footage of people harvesting noodles from trees. In 1985, Sports Illustrated tricked many of its readers when it ran a made-up story about a rookie pitcher named Sid Finch who could throw a fastball over 168 miles per hour. In 1996, April 1st, Taco Bell, fast food restaurant chain, duped people when it announced it had agreed to purchase Philadelphia's Liberty Bell and intended to rename it the Taco Liberty Bell. In 1998, Burger King advertised a left-handed Whopper and a bunch of clueless customers requested that fake sandwich. I've also seen a commercial for Whopper flavored toothpaste. It sounds disgusting. In the year 1974 in Alaska, on April Fool's Day, a man dragged 70 tires and set them on fire. After the National Guard comes in, led by Merlin de Thionville, they withdrew without offering any resistance. So you had the sans-culottes. The sans-culottes, who literally means without pants, okay? So these group of people are coming in without pants. That's the name of them. I don't know if they had pants on or not, but they came in to the National Assembly of France saying that they had no bread. No bread, no bread. And then eventually they left without any resistance. They said that the city was seriously disturbed. The Pantheon and city sections declared themselves in permanent session. When August and Piniers went to their headquarters, the former was arrested and wounded. A shot was fired at the latter. On the 13th, the agitation continued at the Quizny Vents. In Alaska, took 70 tires and set them on fire on a dormant volcano. And seeing the fumes of the fire, it scared the local residents. They thought that the volcano had erupted. In 2002, NASA released a photoshopped picture of the moon made of cheese with an expiration date printed on one of its craters. So, there's a couple, I think, pretty lighthearted, good April Fool's jokes. But there's still better historical events that are worthy of celebration, too. In the Netherlands, the first contemporary country to allow same-sex marriage, became legal on April 1st, 2001. So 16 years ago, the Netherlands legalizes same-sex marriage, the first country to do so. That's something to celebrate. Good for now. On the preceding night, the convention had placed Paris under martial law and given command of the city to Pichegru, who happened to be there at the time, detailing Merlin de Thionville and Barras to assist him. What does all this mean? I don't know. It's April 1st. This is a rebellion and uprising during the French Revolution. This is many years after the king and queen had got their head cut off. So we get to see April 1st, 1826, Samuel Mory patented the internal combustion engine. That's pretty important, right? The internal combustion engine. Look at America wouldn't know what to do with itself if it didn't have the automobile. April 1st, 1853, Cincinnati pays their firefighters first. So the first firefighters in the country got paid in Cincinnati on April 1st, 1853. They should be paid, right? Now, April 1st, 1952, there's a very famous paper that was written on the Big Bang Theory, and it was published in the Physical Review, and the authors are Alpha, Bethy, Gamow, ABG, or the Alpha, Beta, Gamma paper. Now, this talked about the Big Bang Theory, how it created hydrogen, helium, and heavier elements in the correct proportions to explain their abundance in the Earth. Here's some political analysis of the sans-culottes and their insurrection. So there was two insurrections of that year, 1795, April 1st, and then May 20th to the 23rd. And that was the two final and most considerable effort of the Parisian sans-culottes, without pants. The group that called themselves without pants, I don't know, we'll come back to that, to impose their will on their rulers as an independent political force. So this is the last hurrah for the sans-culottes. After their defeat in Peoria, they ceased to play any effective part until the next round of revolutions in the early 19th century. To a lesser extent, these movements are important as marking the final attempt of the remnants of the Mountain and the Jacobins to recapture the political ascendancy in the convention and the Paris sections, but this time, though they gave some political direction to the popular movement which arose in the first place in protest against worsening economic conditions, their intervention was timorous and half-hearted and doomed the movement to failure. To understand its range and significance, we must trace the policy of the Thermidorians and the discontent it aroused among with Al Fur and Gamow's paper, which was formerly titled The Origin of Chemical Elements, was that the little theory originally proposed that all atomic nuclei are produced by the successive capture of neutrons, one mass unit at a time. However, later study challenged the universality of the successful capture theory. No element was found to have a stable isotope with an atomic mass of 5 or 8. Physicists soon noticed that these mass gaps would hinder the production of elements beyond helium. Just as it's impossible to climb a staircase one step at a time when one of the steps is missing, this discovery meant that the successive capture theory could not account for higher elements. So, clearly, they got a little hole in their theory. Now, on April 1st, the sans-culottes invade the convention, but April 1st, 1795. This was 2 years after Marie Antoinette and King Louis XVI got their heads chopped off. So the revolution's been going strong for quite some time. Now, the sans-culottes, who are the epitome of the French Revolution, are going to make one of their final resistance protests. Now, they go invade the convention. They said, give us bread, give us bread. I didn't hear about any violence. I heard that they negotiated and they just left, and then that was it. They started a discussion. The National Guard arrives, and then they just leave. But all around Paris, there was a state of siege was declared. Now, this was in reaction to them saying that they didn't want a controlled economy anymore, and since there was no controlled economy, just leave it up to the free market, people were afraid they weren't going to get any bread. That's why, they were sitting there protesting, we want bread. So the sans-culottes, they're the radical left-wing partisans of the lower classes during the French Revolution. Right? Sans-culottes. Can you see that clearly? They were the common people, the lower classes in late 18th century France, a great many of whom became radical militant partisans of the French Revolution in response to their poor quality of life under the ancient regime. The name sans-culottes refers to their clothing, and through that to their lower class status. Culottes were the fashionable silk knee breeches of the 18th century nobility and bourgeoisie, and the working class sans-culottes wore pantaloons or trousers instead. So they weren't going to wear the silk knee breeches. Instead, they were going to wear pants, trousers, right? That's working class people, not with the silk knee breeches, but just regular working class pants. The sans-culottes, most of them urban laborers, served as the driving popular force behind the revolution. Though ill-clad and ill-equipped, they made up the bulk of the revolution. So the culottes were these silk knee breeches. That's what these these people used to, wear. Here's a picture of some guy wearing these silk knee breeches. Now look at them. I mean, they're very pretty, right? These aristocratic, leaders. It looks like a George Washington kind of figure wearing those nice stockings, right? Nice silk stockings and just sort of the knee pants, right? It only goes to their knee, and they tuck it in the socks, and then they got those little shoes, those little tap dancing shoes there with the buckles, pretty little buckles with their pretty little silk stockings and their pretty little powdered wig, hair and pulled in a ponytail, and they're just, they're pretty, right? It's pretty, but it's also pretty privileged and snobby and stuck up. Most fundamental political ideas of the sans-culottes were social equality, economic equality, and popular democracy. So they wanted social equality, economic equality, and popular democracy. They supported the abolition of all the authority and privileges of the monarchy, nobility, and Roman Catholic clergy, the establishment of fixed wages, the implementation of price controls to ensure affordable food and other essentials, and vigilance against counter-revolutionaries. The height of their influence spanned from the original overthrow of the monarchy in roughly 1789 to the Thermidorian reaction in 1794. The Thermidorian reaction in 1794 basically was the death knell for the sans-culottes. During the revolution, the sans-culottes provided the principal support behind the more radical and anti-bourgeoisie factions of the Paris Commune, such as the Enrages, and the Hebertists, and were led by populist revolutionaries such as Jacques Roux, R-O-U-X, and Jacques Hebert. The sans-culottes also populated the ranks of paramilitary forces charged with physically enforcing the policy Sans-culottes would eventually try again in May to do some kind of uprising, but then that's the last we'll hear about the sans-culottes for a while in France. So they didn't win, but they fought back. They give one last hurrah. They resisted. They did not engage and overcome. They will come back in the Revolution of 1830, but I'm not for sure how that turns out for them. April 1st, 1986, Sector Khanda. There's an underground communist party of Nepal. Nepal is a country situated between China and India. And the Communist Party is 1986. A bunch of groups of people paint the King Tribhuvan's statue. They paint his statue black. And then they attack a number of police stations in Kathmandu. They tried to incite a popular rebellion. Unfortunately, this turns out really bad for the Communist Party because now they can't operate in secret. All the members of the group were unearthed and found out, and they had to disband shortly afterwards, especially since the popular rebellion never happened. They were hoping to influence the election. This happened right around election time. So just like the sans-culottes, right, they stood up and they rebelled, but they weren't successful. So I like the resistance part, but ultimately they did not win. But if at first you don't succeed, try again. If you fall off that horse, the test of character says you would get back on the horse and you keep on riding on that pony, right? Jump on it. Let's do it. Influence. The sans-culottes were seen as the truest and most authentic sons and daughters of the French Revolution, held up as living representation of the revolutionary spirit. The sans-culottes were the regular people, the average people, the little people, as that Nigel Farage once said. So during the height of the revolutionary fervor, such as during the Reign of Terror, when it was dangerous to be associated with anything counter-revolutionary, even public functionaries and officials actually from middle or upper-class backgrounds adopted the clothing and label of the sans-culottes. They wanted to pretend they were regular working-class people too, as a demonstration of solidarity with the working class and patriotism for the new French Republic. But then you had, the Jacobin Club and Robespierre and the tribunals and Jacques Hebert, and then there was, of course, the Thermidorian Convention, and then the Thermidorian reaction, the French Directory, Napoleon coming in and wiping everything out, right? Eventually, the sans-culottes' influence will be zero, but we will see them reappear in the July Revolution of 1830. On April 1st in Tanzania, this is National Tree Planting Day. So that's pretty awesome, right? Everybody go out and plant some trees. Just in general, April is Child Abuse Awareness Month. So all you child abusers out there, I hope every piece of violence that you put down upon your child, you get back. Tenfold, because you would deserve it. They're innocent. They didn't deserve it. You would. So, Child Abuse Awareness Month, and it's Community College Day, or College Month. So, Community College Appreciation Month. Just a real quick thing. So, go out, plant some trees. Planting trees would be better than going around doing a bunch of pranks on people and acting like a bunch of jackasses. Why don't you have to do something productive for others and plant a goddamn tree and help get more oxygen back? First, 1960, the Turas 1 satellite transmits the first television picture from space. First television picture transmitted from space, the TIROS-1 satellite, did that in 1960. In 1976, a college dropout, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Ronald Wayne in Cupertino, California, in Jobs' parents' garage, finds Apple Incorporated. They developed Apple out of his garage on April 1st, 1976. In Thailand, they're celebrating the Civil Service Day. This is commemorating the enactment of the first Civil Service Act in 1928. They've been observing it since 1979. Civil service means you pass an exam knowing that you understand the culture and the laws, the government officials of your own country. Also the national day for Cyprus. Cyprus is a country, right? I think. Let's see what Cyprus is all about. But today's national, Cyprus's national holiday. So somehow they became a country, and we're all excited about them. They're an island country in the eastern Mediterranean, the third largest and third most populous island in the Mediterranean. So this is an island in the Mediterranean. Today is their national holiday. I don't know why this is their national holiday. And about nationalism in general, it's pretty stupid. It's illogical. But Malcolm X was in favor of nationalism, specifically black nationalism, but that's the reason why he saw, over land and nationalism. That's how these revolutions all throughout Africa had happened. Nationalism, and it was fighting over land. It's also known as Greek Cypriot National Day because there's a large Greek population. The ethnic Greeks of Cyprus make up 77% of the population. So, Cyprus, most of them are Greek, but they call them Greek Cypriots. So the Greek Cypriots, today is their day. And something about a military campaign, it officially began on April 1st, 1955. On that date, EOKA launched simultaneous attacks on the British-controlled Cyprus Broadcasting Station in Nicosia, undertaken by a team led by Markos Drakos on the British Army's Wolseley barracks, and on targets in the Famagusta by a team led by Grigoris Afxentiou. Then there's other anti-colonial movements, but they are after the British occupation, right? Something I can get behind. It seems like Cyprus's National Day, the Greek Cypriot Day. That sounds like a good day to celebrate. There's Fossil Fools Day. I kind of don't like the name Fossil Fools, but they're environmental, and they're trying to say, let's look for alternative sources of energy, which I believe in their cause. Encourage support for climate justice, strong legislation, corporate responsibility, and a clean, renewable energy future. Here in Pueblo, in the year 2035, in, 16 years? No, 18 years? In 18 years, we're going to be completely off fossil fuels. So that's a pretty, that's a remarkable goal for Pueblo to achieve. Completely off fossil fuels, 100% renewable energy. Sunlight, wind, nuclear. April 1st, 1979, Iran becomes an Islamic Republic by 99% vote. 99% of the people said, yes, we want an Islamic Republic, and they overthrew the Shah. I think that's a good thing. I think this is a good thing. And then you also have Steve Newman became the first man to walk around the world. The walk was 22,000 miles, and it took 4 years. April 1st, 1987. That's the date he completed it, maybe. But Steve Newman, right, he walked around the world. So it was 22,000 miles. It took him 4 years. So if you're like, man, I wonder how long it would take me to walk around the world, 4 years. You have the last thing, and this is the war criminal Slobodan Milosevic. He surrenders to the police special force. Your question, did I care? You could ask anyone. I even said, you were my great one. Now it's over, but I do admit I'm sad. It hurts real bad. I can't sweat that because I love that hoe. Fuck what I said. It don't mean shit now. Fuck the presidents. Might as well throw this. The former president of Yugoslavia, Slobodan Milosevic, I don't know, Milosevic, surrenders to police special forces to be tried on war crimes charges. So there is justice for some war criminals out there. Former Yugoslav President Slobodan Milosevic. That actually flows off the tongue. He was arrested on corruption charges after a 26-hour standoff with the police in his Belgrade villa. So, there's plenty of things to celebrate today. You could go plant some trees like in Tanzania. You can go create a computer company and make millions. You can not wear pants, right? Sans culottes. Take off your pants. And just be nice to each other out there. Take care of each other.